And because everything is liquidity bonded, it's really interesting because there's no other chain where, like, if you're on Solana, let's say, if you're in the right coin, like singular in one coin, then maybe you win or you lose, right? But they don't go really up and down together in the way that Pulsechain coins do. Everything is sort of teamwork on Pulsechain. So even though we fight a lot, if you look at how the liquidity is structured and all of this, everybody is really literally on the same team. Whereas on the other chains, it's not really like that. It's coin versus coin, community versus community. In Pulsechain, it's very common to have a founder with several coins and several sub-communities that are sort of bonded together, both in liquidity and spiritually or whatever. Like, where on Cardano can you see that, like, sub-communities? Not just coins, but sub-communities with several tickers working together. That's something that's uniquely Pulsechain. And basically the pegging is just that, but on a much, much bigger scale, right? Because there's thousands of tickers. But as one goes up, everything goes up. And that's something that's really unique on Pulsechain. I think it's stupid to bet against that, because that's literally the coolest thing that's happened to crypto, in my opinion.
100%.
I was going to play the devil's advocate with something, right? So you know how everyone was like in regards to Richard Hart ain't said nothing out loud. Richard Hart didn't say anything about Pulsechain either, guys. Don't forget that. And Richard Hart actually followed Pulsechain. Let's not forget that either.
Yep.
Yeah, but what's he gonna
100%.
say?
And Richard Hart,
What's he gonna say about her? Like, oh, I don't, just because he follows someone, I don't know. I think that's a
I
little
mean, for
different.
one, it was a guy behind the account. For two, they rugged the community hardcore, and
I know that, but I'm saying, what is Richard gonna say about that? Don't follow her. Did he know about it? I mean, it's kind of. I think that's a little bit. It's not exactly.
It's also different because he never shilled Pulsechain.
Exactly.
He shilled Pdai 4 times, I think.
Exactly.
That's a big difference. So imagine the founder who never shills anything that's not his. He does it 4 times, then he waits for months and months for people to accumulate and start a mania around it, and then doesn't say anything. It would be kind of strange if he would set the trap, get everybody in, and then come out with a tweet saying like, yo, this Pdai is not me, it's a scam. Like, he would basically rock. I don't know how many people are in and with how much, but it's one of the biggest tickers on Pulsechain, right? So if he would, if
did he not do
if he were
the same
to do
thing
that,
with Wrap Bitcoin?
Well, wasn't that up for like a day?
No, 1 hour, bro. 2 hours, man.
It was up for a day, right? Something like that.
I think it was
and
up
if you
for a
remember back in the
couple
day,
hours,
hours even. So, but now basically the Pdai in this devil's advocate example, basically what you're saying then, that he has basically set the biggest trap in all of crypto. Just let it run for months, and then when it's like peaking right about now, I don't know what's the market cap now. It's like 700 million, I think. Then he decides to, okay, enough is enough, and basically kill the whole thing. It would just be so strange and very out of character for him to do that. But it's crypto, man. Anything is possible. So that's the punch, right?
I hold my Pdai.
But that's the whole.
I'm bullish on it.
But again, that's the whole point, right? Like, the reason why the Pdai is not $1 and it's only 2% of $1 is that there's 98% of doubt, and that 98% of doubt is the speculation that you can either be part of or not.
I was wondering what you guys think of the whole Pdai situation. You guys for it, or like, what's your narrative?
I'm all for it, but as long as people ain't making up lies and things like that, I'm all for it. And I want it to go to $1 because I'll be rich, and a lot of people will be rich.
Think about it this way as well. Richard understands how to build a community of diehard followers. He knows that you can't launch something, have it go to Valhalla in 2 days, and then only enrich a few people. What he did with Hex is basically, if you believe in this thesis that Richard is behind this thing, the charts are going exactly in unison with each other, which basically, he's structuring the charts of his coins long enough for people to get in and out, rinse in, out of the ones who actually believe. He does it for a long time so that when it actually does go up in the end, the maximum amount of people would have been enriched by his invention. And so that's why you have such a huge community in Hex, because those Hexicans are here because they made money, right? So he actually allowed people, a lot of people en masse, to get rich. And so now he has an army of shillers. He has an army. Yeah, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, man.
Yeah, so basically, if we play with the idea that he is behind Pdai, this is exactly the way that he should actually have done it. Because if he would say, okay, I'm behind Pdai, it would just go like straight up and then maybe a rug and then go back up again. But now what's happened is we've had this chart going beautifully up and to the right, but kind of slowly, right? With like a lot of dips in between, which basically allows people to, the maximum amount of people to get in that actually want to be in. And so if it is successful, then he will have made a lot of people rich and not just like 20 people who were fast enough to find it, right? That's how I see it. That's what happened with Hex. And if Pdai follows the same trajectory, it's going to happen with Pdai as well.
Yeah, I think it's long-term bullish. I'm still pretty skeptical. I don't think Rich is going to allow anything on Pulsechain to outperform the rest of his core coins, which, in my opinion, I think Pdai and Wrapped BTC is doing that right now. Like, the rest of the chain has been pretty much dead since the start, including PX. Even though it has one on a rip, but if you compare the two, like if you're just looking at, if you put in $1 at the bottom into each one, I think Pdai and Wrapped BTC would be the winner, comparing it to like PLS and the rest of the stuff, right? So that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, if it is Richard, it's like he's technically working for Pdai harder than his own coins right now.
Yeah, but the point is that that'll all drag up, not even drag up, like it'll, if anything, it'll allow his core coins to move even harder when they do run.
That's the lagging.
I mean, it's
that's
like I say,
right?
people, like, if you think Pdai can go to $1, then what do you think Hex can do?
Yeah, no, it's totally lagging. I'm 100% for it. Like, I'm fine with, like, if I have it or not. It doesn't matter to me, right? Like, it's gonna slingshot the whole ecosystem. It just sucks that, like, that is the play. But I understand it. It's a free $18 billion if you can get that thing to peg.
Well, it's that old update your worldview thing. Like, this is the discussion I get into with quote unquote maxis. Like, early on in the chain, I was like, it's not a token, it's a chain. Like, it's a different ball game now. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need all these other things for the chain to be, well, a real chain and not just a ghost chain.
What I like about it also is that it brings, there's been so much attention that we've gotten from outside the community, which I think is also really, really important for Pulsechain, is that we need more people to engage. We need higher volume. So that's something that, it's been almost like viral outside of our own world, which is, I think, the first thing that I've seen really get traction like this outside of our community, which is fantastic.
Yeah, a good example is that Ivan has mentioned it, I think, on each of his streams for the past 4 times now or something like that.
Yep.
Because the story of Pdai itself, like you say, like it's reaching beyond just Pulsechain, because the story itself is so unique and it really grabs hold of you. That's before the other stream got rugged. I was speaking about how what I like about Pdai is that Pdai is one of those very, very few coins that it makes people angry when they go up. Usually with coins, when they go up and you miss the train, you just kind of like, oh man, okay, I wish I had a bag, but whatever. I'll just carry on, With Pdai, the more it goes up, the more angry people become who are not in Pdai. And they spend so much time trying to basically vent their anger and trying to take it down, right? And there's only one coin that I can compare that to, and that's Hex. Back in, when it did its run, it was exactly the same. Like, I saw the same bitter emotions from people who were on the side that I see on Pdai right now. So Pdai, just like Hex, they have this kind of story around them that don't let go of people. Like, once you hear about it, you cannot ignore it anymore. Other coins don't really have this magic, right?
That's
so
people.
There's something
in the ecosystem, right? I had
but not in the ecosystem. Just like Corey said, this is reaching outside of Pulsechain.
Yeah, no,
because
saying, like,
Ivan is making a show every day, and he's not talking about any coin, and now he talks about Pdai all the time. That's not a coincidence. Like, there's something in the story of Pdai that is super powerful, And whether Richard is behind it or not, that should be secondary actually, because the story is the most important thing.
Yeah, I got
It's like
buddy.
And
Gold
that's the thing,
Rush.
like, just about to get into the full on bull, like, it's about to kick off. And as far as I'm concerned, like, even if we take, like, Pdai out of the equation, like, it's what the mechanics and what's happening, you know, to people that are already in and understand crypto, like, that is, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest narrative in crypto, in my opinion. Like, if it's true and what's going on actually comes to pass and becomes proven to be true, like, can you imagine? That could be the narrative of crypto this
It's
cycle.
historic if it happens. Literally making history.
Like, everyone's like, will it be AI? Will it be GameFi? Maybe it's this. I mean, it's kind of moonboy thoughts, but if it's actually true, then oh boy.
I think it's kind of like at a blow off top right now, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to go to 10 cents. I would be like taking it and putting it back into Hex or something else right now. That's just my own opinion. I had 10 people from Ordinals message me about their bag because I don't know how it got brought up, but they brought me up and they asked me like what it is and like what happened. And the one guy, he had like $26,000 worth of Pdai, and he's like, "Do you think it's gonna peg?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like, if you want to take some money out, just take some money out. If you don't, you don't. Like, whatever you want to do." He's like, "Well, what should I do with it?" I'm like, "Put half into Hex. That way, like, it's technically you're still helping out the ecosystem, and if that coin pumps, like, you're good to go. And then if you want to cash out the other 10, 12, whatever K it's worth, or just let it ride and go to peg. It's up to you." But the people I talked to, they said they're just gonna leave it in the ecosystem. They're like, fine, just letting it ride, pretty much. But they weren't like what you guys were saying. Like, there's no hate. They were just like questioning it. Like, why is this huge airdrop over here? What's going on?
You know, the stuff Richard used to talk
So-
about and push as the narrative for the chain is kind of starting to come back alive, like the world's biggest airdrop thing. It's interesting, very interesting.
It's very interesting because there's been examples that Richard has put on tweets before, like the whole SEC lockdown. There was farms where there was Pepe. There was farms
Sheriff
when there
is
was.
disconnected.
There's so many examples that Richard saw. Okay, so he made the pitch, which was the theory. The theory was Pulsechain would be Ethereum, lower transaction cost, multiply the supply, and farms. All these ideas as far as DAOs and testnets and things like that. Those, I think, were experiments about like the people that were here and feedback because these were untried, right? The Pepe farm, the wrapped BTC farm, the tweets that tell, at the launch of Hex, hey, Bitcoiners, come get your free coins so that you can dump on my community that's been following me and that loves me, right? So, like, you have to either have a narrative that the advertisement is to harm the people that believe in the narrative, which are the people already here. And the advertisement brings over people that have supply to harm the chart, right? You have to believe that about wrap BTC. It doesn't matter about the lockup period and the declining amount that they could basically free claim. That was advertisement. And later, I know many people that made $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 from just their Bitcoin claim on Hex. When I've had dinner with Richard, this was in the beginnings of the bear, and what he had said was, because I had said, hey, we need to solicit the Doge people and the Litecoin people, and we need to engage, in this multi-chain narrative and so forth, right? And what he said with Dollar Cost and myself and Trevor at the podcast, the Fresh and Fit podcast, what he said was, nobody has any money. Nobody in crypto has any money. They're holding, the diehards are going to hold. They've already sold for the most part. The price, I think, of Hex at the time was like 2.8 cents or something like that. And, of course, Pulsechain hadn't launched. And what he said was nobody had any money. Now people have money. And I think that one is partially timing, partially is advertisement outside of the people that already have vested and in this community. It doesn't matter the token. The pillage that happened with the Pepe people coming over and kind of laughing on Twitter about $200,000 or $300,000 I think that they took, that kind of thing. I think he learned a lot, just a ton, from the early farms, and he's kept these farms basically all of his own tokens with some kind of feedback loop. So like if you want to speculate on Pdai, I'm in Pdai, so like I'm talking my own bag. People need to do what they want to do. I'm across all of the tokens, and the only one that has any ambiguity to me is the Pdai narrative. However, he hasn't tweeted, even like someone said something about Pulse Latina. He didn't say anything harshly negative about liquid loans. I think he even said something positive about liquid loans. It's back when Orange Gooey was pissed at me because I retweeted what Richard had said about coming short. You don't believe in this chain, coming short it, or something like that. So I'd said something about liquid loans. There's other people that build other products. Buck wants his fame. The liquid loans people, the 9-inch people, they kind of want their glory, which I approve of because they're builders and they're developers. But this is the first narrative that has, maybe some spokespeople that are on chain, 9iron and Decentralize Me and others that say, look, this looks like Richard. Look, this is Richard, 60% chance it's Richard, Grok says, and things like that, right? Richard, if Pulse Latina was saying Richard was behind my project, or Liquid Loans is approved, or Power City, all these people that were also in the beginnings of Pulse Chain in the Telegram room coming up with game theory of how Pulse Chain would have a reward basically for volume. There was like 100 people in that Telegram room. I was in that room. And the only person I ever had a fight with really was Rackham Rishel. So like Richard squashed a lot of stuff inside of that Telegram room when people would try to affiliate themselves with their own project with Richard's brand. And to me, this has been going on for a year and a half to build up where it's at. And yeah, now it's at 3 cents. It could go to 4. It could crash down to 1. It could go down to half a penny. People could get pissed or whatever. But Richard doesn't have to say shit. He doesn't have to say, yes, it's me. No, it's not me. He does have the ability to just wait until there's a timing. And if people you can bring new capital across the bridge. I saw the bridge, even though it's around the same amount of ETH. ETH has gone up in price. It's about the same amount of Bitcoin that it's been on there, at least when I look at GoPulse. I think even the Bitcoin's gone down to like 24 instead of like 30 or wherever it was before. But like the price on those things have gone up, as well as some of our own native tokens. So the bridge looks like 160 million as far as what I see on GoPulse, and there's other liquidity people could look at, but like the numbers going up. And that has a psychological about like people coming across. You can see it inside the telegrams for the Pdai room. Who's making buys, they're buying either with wrap PLS, or maybe it goes through the router and it just finally looks at wrap PLS. But what I'm getting at is, if you don't want to buy, you can farm. And Richard has these farms out there, so you can earn incentive token. You can say, I'm going to give up, 3 weeks as a bet because I'm going to, basically value PulseX and Pulse the same and get 11% or whatever APR. Or you can do your stacking of incentive token that might have more, or Ethereum. Or you could do Dai or whatever that's like rewarding like 80%. You're going to have impermanent loss if you come out of those farms. Maybe it's a year from now, maybe it's 2 years from now. But like there's a narrative around this whole ecosystem being vertically aligned, not going outside. And I think that, hexagons, honestly, we fucked up when it came to this whole civil war about EHEX and PHEX. People could have just migrated across, gone and done their liquidity bonding if they chose to, sat on the chain without doing anything with their tokens if they chose to. But like we fucked up that. We gave an example to Pepe to do the same thing, to come and rape the chain or rape the token or whatever. We did that. And like the volume narrative around PulseX going up in price because it burns what's in the farms, that's what's burned. Supply that's in your wallet isn't burned. Only the farms that have PulseX are where the liquidity sits that can be pulled out, right? So all I'm getting at is Richard hasn't let anybody have strong affiliation and speak for him. He's never done that. He's let other things that may have been toxic or harmful, but like how can Vitalik speak on everything that happens on his chain? He can't. So to a degree, I have to align with, I'm speculating. And if it goes to zero, I will cry. But like, that's life and I'll go on. Like, I'm not putting a ton of like net worth or something like that in it. But like all of the things that I've seen Richard do over 7 years or whatever, this seems more like Richard than less like Richard. To be quiet, speak on the chain, third party, Brett or whatever, Brett Tep, or, the 6 or 7, the 14 devs, whoever those people are. But like, there's something to this that I'm willing to take. I'll lose one to get 50. And I don't think actually the cash out is when it reaches 80 cents, front run, wherever. We're going to go cash out at. Are you going to buy into farms then? Are you going to buy into the thing you love then? You're going to roll over and rotate into Hex and make it moon? Sure, great. Go advertise Hex, till the soil, prepare people outside of this chain that has been here for 7 years paying attention to Hex. And, if you're not out there doing that to new people, I don't give a what you're talking about. I do not care, because advertising outside of the community is the only thing that matters to me. And this seems, again, like more talking points to talk to new audiences that we haven't yet. We're not talking to meme coiners. We're not talking to hey, Bitcoin as much, Bitcoin's out there, but like this is a narrative that goes to all of the mechanisms of Pdai, all of the mechanisms and use cases of Pdai. And I like it. So that's my piece about like, is this real? I don't know. I could lose it all. It could go to zero tomorrow because Richard hate tweets just like he did with EHEX, but maybe he won't. So we'll see.
Yeah, and in the end, that's why it's 2 cents and not 100 cents, right? Because of like the doubt and the unclear message of it all. That's basically where the gains are, potential gains, right? So you can either play the game or not. But for those who play the game, like you say, like, yeah, I'm willing to lose 1 to maybe gain 50. Like that's the attraction of this thing. It's a 1 in a million opportunity, in my opinion. You just can't replicate this story in any other chain on any other coin. It's unique in that way, and that's why I think that even for haters, they just can't stop talking about it. Like once the Pdai story brings you in, it doesn't let go of you. And the only coin, like I said before, that had a similar kind of vibe around it was Hex.
Yeah, Pulsechain is the biggest speculation chain I've ever come across, which is beautiful. It's all about speculations, and yeah, man, it's beautiful. And also, Gary, down to your point in regards to Richard tweeting about Pdai and Wrap Bitcoin, to me, I feel like he was tweeting at low prices for people to come onto the chain and take their free airdrops while the prices, because I've not seen no tweets recently at all, even though the price has literally done 50 times better than when he tweeted the last time he tweeted about Pdai or Wrap Bitcoin. But I feel like he done them tweets on purpose for people to come and take their airdrops, dump them while the prices were cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. We had 351 days where Bitcoin people could claim their free Hex, right? It decreased in amount, the closer it got to the end point. But basically, he saw that, and he liked to say the positive, which was 3% of the value of Bitcoiners or whatever it was did their free claim. Some people misconstrue that, and I hate when they do that, and they say Richard has 200,000 Bitcoin or something like that. That's not true. At least he didn't say that. What he said was that's the amount of Bitcoin that free claimed their hacks using the mechanism that's built into the code and sits there forever. And he was annoyed. He said it. He said it on stream. He said it in meetings and whatever. I think he said it in Zurich. He was annoyed that they dumped, right? And part of that's to the cult of personality that Richard is, and the cult of combat that the Hexicans had, emulating him, and for years. But like they don't. And I think that was one example. And then the other example was the Pepe that was there for however long it was. And then, Wrap Bitcoin. He talked about these things, and you have to either believe he did it as advertising, so people would go through the tribulation to come across for their $83 of Wrap Bitcoin, or their 2 cents or whatever the price was when it got attention outside of this community for Pdai. So you have to believe that these tweets were basically to say, come take advantage of the people that are believing right now. And hopefully some 5% of those people that come across will stay and speculate and advertise and say, hey, this is a good chain or whatever, right? But he's had like 2 years of this, like example of this chain being alive without failure. All these other things, the technical things. In his mindset, unless he's gone insane and he's just living in a hammock and not paying attention to this conversations at all on Twitter, which I don't believe. He sees all this, and to let his name be besmirched, he's got plenty of tools to piss off everybody in his own tweets, in his own commentary, in his own actions. He does not need, anybody to help that along the way in some kind of position. Can it fail? Yeah, it can fail. These are still theoretical. Hex was a theory that was well explained, and I still believe in Hex. I'm just always have been annoyed about the e-hex sacrifice on the other side of the bridge, so to speak. But like I believe in Hex, and I'm speculating on 97%. I'd probably say less than that. I'd say 80% of my net worth in crypto only is Richard's stuff. I've got plenty of Bitcoin. I'm happy with the Bitcoin price. I've got plenty of Ethereum. I'm happy with that. But like this is just pure speculation, and the behavior that Richard's displayed in the past convinces me more than it convinces me less on the narrative of him having action on it.
Yeah, man, I agree. And like the summary of what I feel about this is, if we all agree that crypto and the world in general right now is an attention economy, and this is getting all the attention, then this should also be a good thing, right? That's basically what it is. And the Pdai also has a like a hidden sort of good point, is that the way that the liquidity of this thing is structured as well, it is pulling like sort of the right coins up with it. It's not isolated. It's not like a meme coin that is doing its own thing. Like Pdai it's almost, I wouldn't say structural to Pulsechain, but it's one of like the very, very core when it comes to the liquidity pairs. So that's why when Pdai goes up, it immediately makes a lot of different coins go up, and it brings everybody up essentially. And yeah, it doesn't matter if you love it or hate it, but that's what it's doing. So that's great. Executes, I see your hand there.
I was talking to some of the developers last week and asking them if they've seen any like early transactions, because the chain was technically live for 2 extra days before like everybody else knew about it. And I found one contract. It's super outdated. I don't even know if it's still like people are calling it. It was Viper Curve, I think it was. That was running super early, and that's a part of like that whole buy USDC, buy Pdai, and like wash it between each other type of thing, just to come out with a profit. And I was wondering if anybody else has found something like that, because if you could find a contract that's being called and somebody's paying for it super early, it's either Richard or one of the developers from like within Pulsechain that knew about the chain being live day 1 and 2. I was trying to look for it, but I actually like completely just ran out of time and like brain space of looking for that stuff early days. But regardless, those contracts are still being called, so somebody is paying for it. Those things can't run by themselves after that fork, so that's another good thing to look into if you guys are trying to do the deep dive.
Could you guys imagine if Pdai does peg? Oh my days, the amount of P copies. We're gonna have CTOs of P copies. It's gonna be beautiful. There's gonna be a whole run of just P copies. It's gonna be a cycle of P copies just going up. It's gonna be absolutely amazing, guys.
I don't think Richard's going to allow it to be that easy of a climb.
Yeah.
I think he's going
Sorry.
to.
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
You guys talking?
No. All you. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if it is him doing like the voting and all that, I think he should, or he will maybe. He's going to offer people to stake their Pdai and earn some type of incentive off of it, because there's just way too much out there for it to, like, you know, go all willy-nilly, like right to $1. You're gonna have some type of incentive to lock it away for a certain time period. Either there's on Maker on ETH, there was a vault called Osiris, I think it was called, or Oracle, or I think it was Osiris. That was yeah, it offers you like staking penalties and fees and whatever else, but he's gonna have to do something to incentivize like people not to just keep dumping it to go like to peg, in my opinion, like extra incentive rather than like what Maker offers you right now. Just my opinion. So if you see it like not going up for a while, be prepared to stake it for something else, because it's not going to go there by itself. You're gonna need a lot of community to push it up there.
I don't got an answer for that. I'll let the big brains take a look at that. But what you said, KR, it's I 100% agree with you, and I think people underestimate the you call it a CTO of P coins. That's something that I used to talk about it last year in the summer, but obviously then this narrative was not very strong like it is now. But if you think about it, all the P copied tokens are basically CTO coins, essentially, right? Okay, there are some with admin keys and this and that, but a big chunk of them are gonna essentially be CTO coins, right? Like basically like orphans that you can adopt. Like if you have a community, you can basically pick a ticker you think is funny, adopt it as a stray kid, kind of, and raise it as your own. And that kind of solves, not completely, but it is kind of solving the whole, like when, okay, you launch a coin and then 3 people get rich because they knew about it, right? But the P tokens have existed for a year and a half now. So it's not a fair launch, but it is as fair as it gets, right? Because there's already holders in it and all of them are basically abandoned. There's no founder involved in most of them, right? So that's really, really funny way to look at it, that these coins are essentially CTO meme coins of actual coins out in the world. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. And I mean, some people have already done it. As an example, the Tangang used to take, what was the coin? Cream? P Cream? So they took the Cream token, essentially bought it up, and then they started to pair that token with their own meme tokens to use it as the liquidity bonding, right? And I think they did it with Crow as well, P Crow. So this is already happening, but I think it's going to happen in a much, much bigger scale than before, especially now as liquidity and volume is wrapping up all of these coins. Because usually, like last year, some of these coins had like $10 of liquidity, but now most of them have thousands of dollars of liquidity and at least some volume, right? I know that Sunny from Sunny's Pub, Sunny Detective, has been essentially working on this since day one. So yeah, I think the whole P copy CTO thing, it's gonna have its own season on Pulsechain. I think it's gonna be huge.
Is Pulsechain's target market, right? And I brought this up when everyone was talking about onboarding normies. Back when the bridge FUD, how are you supposed to onboard anyone? They can't get onto Pulsechain. And the way I put it is, wee Jimmy next door is not the target market for Pulsechain. Yeah, we can get a few of those people in, but en masse, that I don't believe is the Pulsechain target market. I think with especially the way we're seeing everything going now with privacy, etc. And there was an amazing space 9-inch one last week, I think, where this was all discussed with regards to privacy, etc. in the future. But our target market are people that have been in crypto for a while, and the people that realize, oh wait a minute, my money's better off over there. And especially from people like us that have been in the space for a while, like that's basically the TradFi market essentially, or will be. So what you're going to get is you're going to get more of the, let's just say, quote unquote, better educated crypto people coming over to Pulsechain because it is a better place for your money. And I think, especially from stuff I've heard, not from my own summary or investigations, that during the bear market, Pulsechain is going to be a very good place to have your money.
I have a new strategy of onboarding people here. I pretty much all my onboards have been buying since the actual bottom, like almost 900 days ago, 700 some days ago, and their portfolios are looking pretty good, and they're still like not happy because I mainly just pushed them into ETH and Bitcoin, and I just said just stick with those two. But now they're seeing like all the Solana plays, and I told them, I'm like, all right, if you want to go play on Solana, like take a $1,000, $10,000, put it in a wallet, send me the screenshot, buy all the meme coins you want, and then wait a week and send me a screenshot, and let's see what it looks like. And most of them have lost money just doing the shit coining stuff. But I told them, I'm like, if you guys are looking for like the extra leverage play, you got to look at coins that have been down and haven't pumped in the market. And I'm like, the only thing that is down is technically Pulsechain and Pulsex Hex compared to the rest of the market. Like the rest of the market has outperformed this chain if you look at it from like bottom to the top in time preference and everything. So I told them, I'm like, if you guys already have a 10x on certain coins, and you want to do like have leverage on that, and you want to flip it into something that hasn't went up, I'm like, this is the ecosystem over here. You're still technically buying it cheaper than day one across the board on any ticker you buy over here, right? Well, like core coin wise.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been
The charts.
I've got
The charts look godly.
They look
all of
good
them
now, but I'm saying like even if it goes down from here, I'm saying like you got to show it to them like everybody's getting a better price than day one. People that bought in Sacrafice, unless you're a whale and you got that 2 point whatever X, right? Like they're technically buying cheaper than everybody else, and that's the way I've been chilling it to people. I'm like, look at like find a coin that has an ecosystem, that has a community, and is still technically in the red. I think this is the only ecosystem that's got it.